close to Paris.
Okay. Can you tell us something about strain theory?
Yes, sir. Sir, excuse me. Sir, strain theory was given by Robert K. Merton. It's a theory in criminology that states that every person has certain aspirations, every person has certain goals in life. And when they can't achieve that through legitimate means, they often resort to illegitimate ways to achieve those goals. And in it, Robert K. Merton gave 5 different scenarios. So he said that if a person is accepting both the goals and the ways of achieving those goals, then he is conforming to the standards. And if he is rejecting both the goals and ways, then he is doing rebellion. There are 3 other instances as well, such as innovation, ritualism, and retreatism.
Okay. Pakistan is facing major problem, that is higher growth rate of population. And as a result, all the development is being eroded by that higher development. China has managed to curtail or control this higher growth rate of population. What was that? And can you explain about it?
Yes, sir. China adopted a one-child policy in which they were incentivizing the parents who decide to only have one child. And due to these incentives and due to the awareness that was created by the government in China, people started opting and people started getting more and more aware. And they started having lesser kids, and I think that is what is lacking in Pakistan as well. The first step is the lack of awareness in Pakistan, specifically in the rural settings where people do not realize and recognize the need, how it is going to strain their resources, and there also is a need to address the religious views of people which are distorted in a way that that needs to be addressed as well.
Okay, you have also studied American history. Tell us something about purchase of Louisiana.
Yes, sir. Sir, the Louisiana Purchase was done in 1803 by Thomas Jefferson, and it was done. It doubled the size. It doubled the size of United States of America from the original 13 colonies. It was done for 15 million from France, who at that time was being controlled by Napoleon after he became the first consul in 1799. Thomas Jefferson made this purchase because he believed in the power of yeoman farmers, and he said that it is important that every person in the United States needs to have a land to become self-sufficient.
Any other area which America purchased? Can you tell us something about that?
Yes, sir. Sir, Alaska was also purchased from Russia. If I'm not wrong, sir, if you will allow me to take a guess, I think it was for 15 million. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yes. United Nations General Assembly. Any Pakistani has been the president of that assembly?
Yes, sir. Our first foreign minister, Chaudhry Zafrullah, was not only the president of United Nations General Assembly, but also was the president of the International Court of Justice. So from 61 to 62, he was the president of United Nations General Assembly, and from 71 to 73, he was the president of International Court of Justice.
Okay, just one last question. What's the difference between direct and indirect taxes?
Yes. Sir, direct taxes are which are paid by the people directly to the government, such as an income tax or an agriculture tax. However, indirect taxes are the ones that are transferable. For example, the GST or the custom tax, where you are paying to another party who then further pay to the government.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Rida is Zahra. Okay, let me start from the history of Indo-Pak. My first question to you is that how important do you think is Mughal king Aurangzeb in the history of India and Pakistan?
Yes, sir. So, Mughal king Aurangzeb Alamgir is of utmost importance because he was different from the first 5 emperors in a way that he lived a life of piety and simplicity as opposed to the previous one. Another thing that is important about Aurangzeb Alamgir is he was the last of the great Mughal emperors. after his demise, the Mughal Empire fell into a decay. He also issued a Fatwa-e-Alamgiri, which were codes in which he established a Sharia law across. He was also responsible for extending the Islam in the subcontinent further in his rule.
For how long did he rule?
Sir, would you allow me to take a guess? Sir, 30 years perhaps?
49 years. He was the longest serving Mughal emperor.
All right. In our neighborhood, maybe after the Biden becomes the president of USA, there are likelihoods that there's a change in Afghan policy. What do you think? What kind of change we can expect by Biden coming into power in the United States of America?
Yes, sir. So there's one change that is very obvious is the change from Republicans to Democrats. So they both have their own set of policies that they take with their parties. In spite of that, Republicans have a more isolationist policy where Trump gave the idea of America first, and he was more concerned with what was happening inside his country instead
With
of
particular reference to Afghanistan.
Yes, sir. So in terms of Afghanistan, Trump was going for a very hasty withdrawal in Afghanistan, and he was pulling out forces without even looking at how Afghanistan is coping with all of that. So now, at this point, merely 3,000 forces are left, and there are a lot of reservations about that. So when Joe Biden came in power, he initially started renegotiating the terms with Afghanistan as well, and he wants to bring the Afghan government on board as well, which were initially being excluded. But irrespective of that, sir, I believe that there is always going to be a threat of warlords emerging and a power vacuum unless this is a thing which is done in a very phased and very peaceful way with all parties, not just the Taliban, but the factions within the Taliban, as well as the government and other neighboring countries on board. Because right now Joe Biden has given the September deadline, but 4 months is not enough time to bring all the factions that are living inside Afghanistan on board, and it can hamper the peace in the region, not just the country.
Rida, on one hand, we follow and toe the policies of United States of America as far as our foreign policy is concerned. At the same time, we have a CPAC arrangement with China, who is our neighbor also. And then we are inclined towards Russia also. What do you think? How can we create a balance between the three with this approach?
Yes, sir. So Pakistan, since its inception, it is quite unfortunate, but we have always had a very hyphenated foreign policy. We have always been inclined toward USA and never really seen the countries in our neighborhood which we had great potential with. So quite recently, in the last 2 decades, Pakistan has started aligning itself to some extent with China and has started prioritizing geoeconomics over geostrategy. So the CPEC, flagship project of BRI, is providing a lot of opportunities for Pakistan as well. However, Pakistan being a country is stuck between two elephants, as I would say. It is said that if 2 elephants fight, the grass under it gets crushed. So we are kind of stuck in the middle. However, it is important that we do not align ourselves with either of the two countries. It is important that we keep a healthy balance by working with United States on, for example, Afghan peace deal is a great opportunity for us to rise to the occasion and work with the US government for a peaceful and phased withdrawal, and side by side work with the China government for a very good trade deals in terms of CPEC as well, and maybe give access to Russia for warm waters, which it really requires for its trade.
All right, 2 crisp questions. One, that on which river we have this Mangala Dam?
Sir, I believe it's River Jhelum.
All right. And who was the president of Pakistan during India-Pakistan War of 1965?
Sir, that was President Ayub Khan.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Right, Rida, a couple of questions from your CV. You have stated that your hometown is Bhalwal.
Sir, I am born in Bihar. My hometown is Nurpur Thal.
Is
My hometown is Nurpur Thal. I was born in Bihar.
Acha. What about Khushab? You've also mentioned Khushab.
Sir, my hometown is Tehsil Nurpur Thal district, Khushab.
Khushab. Anything special? What is the speciality of Khushab?
Sir, there's a sweet that is very famous for Kushab. That is.
What is it known as in common terminology, common language?
It's called dhodha, sir, and
Yes.
it's very famous. It's a sweet.
Right.
Dish.
You've also mentioned that because of your father's posting, you were moving from town to town and you had a flavor of different schools. Did it benefit you or did your education suffer on that account?
Sir, looking back now, I believe that it was one of the best things that happened to me because shifting schools every year, at that time I felt I'm losing my friends every year. But now I think it has made me more flexible as a person, flexible to moving new places. It has also made me a more social person and comfortable.